What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another CTP book review. I'm enjoying some coffee. It's Black Friday. So what am I going to do today? Well, I'm going to go to the bookstore because the bookstore is having a Black Friday deal. And it's weird having Black Friday specials up here in Canada because our Thanksgiving doesn't go along with America's. But like we do in Canada, whatever America does, we try to emulate, and that's what we're doing nowadays. There's Black Friday deals actually here in Canada, so I'm going to the bookstore, and if you guys remember a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about how I was getting into Robert Greene's The Laws of Human Nature, and I put it on pause because I discovered that one of my favorite authors of all time was actually launching a book, and that was Get a Shit Done by Jeffrey Gitomer. Quick little backstory about Jeffrey Gitomer. I don't know how I got to reading Jeffrey, but it was recommended to me to read the Sales Bible, which is a book he wrote in the 90s, and I picked it up in 2002-ish, 2002, 2003, and it was absolutely amazing. I mean, I fell in love with it, but one of the big notes that Jeffrey is kind of famous for is he's a big fan of reading and continuing your self-education. And he was naming off books I should be reading and how many amazing things he's learned throughout his career by reading. And it hooked me after I read the Sales Bible to start picking up books. And I credit Jeffrey's love of reading to developing my love of reading, because if I didn't kind of get that nugget in my head, hey, this is something you should probably do, I probably would have never picked up as many books as I have over the years. And so every time Jeffrey does a new book, I stop what I'm doing and I kind of go and pick it up and read it. So this was a ton of fun. So it's Get Done, the ultimate guide to productivity, procrastination, and profitability. If you guys know the way Jeffrey writes, he does a lot of bullet points, a whole lot of quotes, and you'll see I've even marked off, like I actually wrote a lot in this book. He's famous for saying he writes like he talks, and you can definitely feel it. I mean, it's never boring reading a Jeffrey Gitomer book. It's broken up into bite-sized pieces of information. He calls them get bits, like really useful action-taking stuff. I've bunny-eared a whole bunch of these pages. I've drawn on it. I've checkmarked things off. In a nutshell, what this book is doing, it's kind of like your anti-excuse book. He talks about productivity and procrastination and how to conquer that, how to conquer procrastination, as he claims it's one of the biggest ills in humankind, and there's no one else stopping you but you. And this put a lot of emphasis on self-reflection and really kind of getting down to why we don't always do what's best for us. We usually take the easy road. So this book was all about productivity. It was all about getting out of your comfort zone, rolling up your sleeves, and actually doing the work instead of pointing fingers and I'm the first one to, I'll blame the world. I blame PayPal all the time for the problems in my life, and we all do that, right? Like we always want to point the finger because it's easier to lay blame on other people. Well, this is the big part of this book. The big part of this book is talking about how, everybody goes through crap and everybody's got some crappy situations that they're going through, but it's your attitude, and how he calls it your yes attitude, that helps determine, where you're going to go in life. And this was definitely a workbook. I mean, this was not just, you didn't just read it and, oh, that's fun. It was actually like I was writing down notes. I'm checking things off. There's checklists and things that you got to do throughout the book. And just, again, I'm let's be brutally honest. I'm very biased. I will never give an objective review of a Jeffrey Gitomer book just because I love the way he writes. I love his attitude towards how he presents his information. And his books are just such an adventure. They're literally an adventure every time you read them. It's not it's not sitting there for a couple of hours falling asleep. Like, you really are involved when you are reading this stuff. So fantastic stuff. But again, I'm like, take my review with a grain of salt, because I'm very biased when it comes to Jeffrey Gitomer books. Some of my favorite books of all time were written by this guy. Customer service is worthless. Customer loyalty is priceless. It's my favorite that he wrote. He's revisited the Sales Bible. I think he's on version 3, maybe 2 or 3. I've read it twice. I've read his little red book of selling answers and yes attitude, and he's just a really, really amazing author. And what's crazy is that this book, it says copyright 2020. So this book isn't even supposed to come out for another month. But anywho, it's really good. It's really enjoyable, and it's about 200 pages long. But I mean, this is, you get your bite-sized pieces of information, and a lot of notes I took, and just tons of quotes. Tons of quotes. I mean, this thing is just Orson Swett Marden is the guy that, if you know how Jeffrey Gitomer writes, he always goes back to like the beginning. And the authors in personal development and success from like, decades ago. And he picks those people, like one of his books was the Patterson Principles, which talked about Patterson, the guy who created the cash registers back in the early 1900s. It's amazing to see the history of personal development and success through Jeffrey Gitomer, because he always picks authors from those back in the day times and focuses on them and gives them a whole lot of exposure in this book. And Orson Swett Marden is the guy, and the book he references throughout the book is he can who thinks he can. And apparently this was way before Law of Attraction stuff and, As a Man Thinketh by Napoleon Hill. This was actually the precursor to it. So anyways, fantastic stuff. You guys will love it, especially if you like a light read, but very enjoyable at the same time. Jeffrey Gitomer, get done. Hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Have you guys read any Gitomer books? If so, be sure to let me know. And any other books that you think I should be reading over the weekend, or I should go and check out while I'm at the bookstore today, let me know. Have a great weekend, and I will see you guys soon. Toodles.